believer in that religion called authority is automatically a slave. You're not only a slave in your own mind, you're helping to put chains on other people by even propagating that belief system. The entire belief in authority is a belief system of a slave. And the police aren't masters of anybody. They're totally enslaved and can't see it. And ultimately, they probably don't even care. They would probably tell you, I don't care that I'm enslaved or enslaving others. And that is proof that you hate yourself. No one with any amount of self-respect would enslave themselves or attempt to enslave anyone else because they love themselves. Because they have true self-respect and true self-love. That's what's present within my psyche. I have taken another look at myself deeply, probably deeper than most people on this planet are willing to look at themselves, and made a radical transformation in my mindset and behavior as a result of that development of self-love and self-respect. And the problem is that these people don't have either. And no one's helping them to develop it. And again, this is because they are a sequestered member of a cult. They are sequestered cult members. They spend all of their time in the cult locations. They spend all of their time taking in the cult propaganda and all of their time doing the cult activities. These are cult members. They are psychologically diseased cult members. I don't know how much clearer I can put it. And the way to take someone out of a cult mentality is always the same. You have to break in on top of the signal of the cult and constantly bombard that person with alternative information such that the signal of the cult is weaker and the signal of truth is stronger. And unfortunately, there's not enough people doing that. That's why these people aren't walking away from their jobs. Another big part of deconditioning someone from a cult is getting them out of the physical environment. And that's so difficult to do because these people will say, how am I going to eat? What am I going to do for work? They're dependent on the system that's enslaving them and everyone else. So they don't want to walk away from it. So the idea is someone has to come in with information at every possible spare second with speaking the truth unapologetically, hardcore, not giving something to these people in baby spoon bites. It doesn't work that way, folks. If it did, more people would be changing. It doesn't work that way. We have to stand and speak the truth in no uncertain terms, unapologetically, without fear. And if the person doesn't like it and gives you an attitude, it doesn't matter. You will have planted a powerful seed if you stand in truth powerfully, not in a wishy-washy way, which so many people do in the truth movement. If you know it, speak it forcefully. If it's true, speak it forcefully. Again, be bold and mighty forces will come to your aid, as Jack Blood says. The universe is going to reward the strong, the bold. And I don't mean the physically strong. I mean those who truly stand forward in truth and put those ideas out into creation. Speak it in no uncertain terms. So this whole dynamic of slavery, of willing servitude, was talked about by the social engineers and mind control experts of the past century. Julian Huxley, eugenicist, mind control expert, social engineer. He said, this is slide number 126, he said that a really efficient totalitarian state would be one in which the all-powerful executive of political bosses and their army of managers control a population of slaves who do not have to be coerced because they love their servitude. And this is what I would suggest the police and military are already in this mind state. They love their servitude. They love being pets of their political masters and their financial masters, and ultimately of their dark occult masters. And again, the only way anyone loves their own servitude is if they hate themselves. It follows logically, ladies and gentlemen. It's not even something that needs to be thought about at any, super deep level. If you love yourself truly, you wouldn't be doing things to enslave yourself. You would pull back and stop supporting that effort. If you really understand the oneness of everyone, you wouldn't be trying to enslave anyone. So, unfortunately, again, it needs to be emphasized, these people are the lapdogs of their occult overlords. In image number 127, these faces, these are the individuals, whether you have any level of so-called respect for these people or not. Whether you're honest with yourself about what role they're truly playing, the truth is that these are the ultimate builders of the Dark New World Order. These are the construction workers, the builders. And again, that brings us back to the term Mason, the concept of the builders. We are all builders. The only difference, the only qualitative difference lies in what are you working toward? What is your building project? What materials are you building with? And ultimately, what are you erecting? What are you bringing forth into manifestation? What are you building? We're all, quote, Masons. We are all builders of our experience collectively through our thoughts, our emotions, and our actions. Well, if you have the mindset of a slave, you're certainly going to be building a world of enslavement. If you have no true self-respect, you're going to be building a world where they're listening to What on Earth is Happening here on Oracle Broadcasting. I'm your host, Mark Passio. My website, whatonearthishappening.com. We're into the second hour of the show today, and we're talking about the non-support of dominators. We're wrapping up a section on the occult mockery of police and military, which we've really already covered the symbolism, the occult language, the occult numerology involved in the covert mockery of these individuals by their overlords, by their dark occultist masters, who are ultimately using them to power the enslavement agenda. And again, that's what these people need to be seen as. And that doesn't necessarily mean that you hate them at a deep level as true individuals, the essence of the soul, the essence of the divine that's within them. It means you can hate and despise their actions, sure. I know I do. I think their actions are utterly deplorable, and they should be ashamed of what they're being used for. If they were honest with themselves, they would take a look at that. And if they had a shred of decency within them, they would step back from those behaviors. And it doesn't make a difference why you continue to do what you do. It doesn't matter if you have a family to feed. It does not matter. Let me say that very emphatically. Saying I have a family to feed and this is why I oppress other people's rights is no justification. And people will get all up in arms over that. How could you say something like that? Easy. It doesn't matter whether you have a family to feed. Stop doing what you're doing anyway. You put yourself in that situation through all of the things you did to make your life the way it is. Develop the courage to say, no, I'm not going to continue to do wrongdoing, even if that wrongdoing pays me and puts food on the table for my family. Go find another job. That's the bottom line. That's the answer. Say no to helping with the dominator agenda. And let me tell you something, folks. People who think that this is going to be reformed from within these institutions, you're kidding yourselves even harder. You think you're going to keep authority and the concept of authority and control in the world, and somehow you're going to build a world of freedom where, oh yeah, these people and the people who manage them, who direct them, are just going to use this, quote, authority for good things, right? As if that could ever be done. As if the entire concept of authority isn't backed by one concept, violence. It's backed by violence, meaning taking coercive action, which you don't have a right to take. You're coercing the will of other free beings. That's what all government and all authority is based upon, coercion, which is violence, which is never within the right under natural law. It does not exist within anyone's right to take action such as that. Therefore, I don't care why you're doing it. It does not matter. It's not even that I care or don't care. That's even irrelevant. The whole point is it doesn't matter to the universe. The universe isn't going to say, well, I understand why Jim continued to oppress the people of the United States in his role as a police, shutting them down with sonic weapons whenever they gathered to protest. I understand why he drove that LRAD machine and destroyed people's eardrums. I totally understand why he did it. Do you think that the universal law, universal cosmic justice cares why you did it? See, the whole point is people are ascribing human qualities to the laws which govern this construct called our three-dimensional universe. The universe doesn't have emotions like a human being, ladies and gentlemen. It is a construct that is based on law that cannot be broken. True law, not man's law. It's based on universal cosmic law that works unwaveringly, perfectly, at all times and places, everywhere in this domain. You know, it's the same law that if you walk off a building, you will fall. It's the same law that if you put your hand in a pot of boiling water, you will be burned. That's what will happen. There are laws that govern these outcomes. So when you're breaking cosmic law, you're always going to get something that's negative, bad, uncomfortable, chaotic, and ultimately bringing forth more evil into the world. That's just a law. It's how it works. You're never going to change that. And it doesn't matter why you chose to do it. The why regarding the reason or justification you chose to do that is irrelevant. It helps people to understand what's going on psychologically in that person's mind to help try to get them out of that bad behavior, that horrible choice to continue to do that thing. But ultimately, to the universe, to the manifested outcome that you're choosing through that behavior, the why is irrelevant. It's always just going to give you the result. You're always going to just be given the result for the behavior. The reason why is not going to be taken into account. And that's something that, again, is another big false New Age teaching. It doesn't matter whether someone was doing it because they really truly enjoyed it or whether they were doing it because they felt they had no other option and couldn't feed their family otherwise. And this is New Age crap that is being taught, that there is a difference between those two choices. There is no difference. The outcome is creating the same dynamic. You are, through what you are choosing, you're creating the same dynamic, whether you did it to feed your son or whether you did it because you just liked hurting people. That's it. And people have to get over this notion that these choices are in some way different because of how we justify them. Justification is meaningless. Meaningless. The behavior is all that matters. Let me say this again. Let me say that again. Get this idea if you get nothing else. The justification for evil behavior is meaningless. The only thing that matters is the action taken. Do you understand? Do you get that? You need to get that. It doesn't matter why you chose to do something that was wrong. You chose it because you're always responsible for your actions, whether you think you are or not, whether you want to be or not. The fact of the matter is you are responsible. And the fact of the matter is that what you're creating as a result of choosing a particular behavior, you're always going to get that outcome regardless of why you chose it. By choosing a particular behavior, you're creating a particular manifestation. And it works like that 100% of the time flawlessly. And this is the level of awakening people need to get to when it comes to actions. When it comes to how we're creating our reality through natural law. Together, not one individual. Another bunk New Age teaching is that each individual is creating their own reality and everybody's going to experience something different based on what they choose. Bzzz, wrong answer again. This is more dark Luciferian nonsense teaching that has been thrown into the New Age coffer and pumped out there, to people who are so ready to accept nonsense like this because they believe I'm going to create my own parallel reality that's going to be different than everybody else's. Yeah, good luck with that. Great, wonderful that you think that. But you're here with everybody else, collectively making a reality that we are sharing, that we are all part of the creation of. And it doesn't work in that New Age junk way that you think it works, that you've been deluded into thinking that the law of attraction works, that you just create the whole reality based on what you hold in your mind. That's not how it works. Naive person. We are collectively creating it, the reality that we all share through the experiences that we are generating through our behaviors, through our actions. And those actions are ultimately predicated upon our thoughts and our emotions about what's going on within the psyche of the individual. And that's what's driving their behavior. And then the manifested result comes out through the behavior, through the actions that we take in the world, in the physical domain. And that is a shared result. It is a shared result. It is a shared result. No one's creating the world by themselves. Okay? The problem is that when you put so many people together willing to do wrong action, they act as the battery for the enslavement agenda, depicted here in image number 128. This is a slide from the movie The Matrix. Morpheus is explaining to Neo, that what the Matrix wants to convert people into is the battery for its agenda. The source of energy that will actually go out into the world and create the manifested result through the rearrangement of energy and resources that the dominators want to see. It's causality, ladies and gentlemen. Every effect is always preceded by a cause. We don't put the cause into manifestation, the effect can't come into manifestation. And the cause is the behavior. We're behaving in a certain way, and then the universe is giving us, is generating through that behavioral choice a result. And if the behavior is imbalanced and chaotic and it is not in harmony with natural law, so will the result be. It's almost so simple, it's almost stupid. I keep telling people this is not difficult to grasp. This is almost so simple that it's like when you finally see it, when you finally have that aha moment and say, wow, that's how it is. That's how it actually works. You're like, how could I not possibly have seen that before? How could I have been so deluded and so naive into not seeing it? And again, it's because of all the other bunk and nonsense that we're holding in our mind, that we're refusing to detach from and get rid of. We need to empty out the mind. Again, mindfulness is actually about emptying the mind to make it ready for truth. You can't fill an already filled glass. You have to empty it out if you want to put something new in. And that's the whole point. People are so full of nonsense that they can't take in this simple to grasp truth, that we are collectively creating the reality that we have to experience in this world as a result of our behaviors in the world. Behaviors which are predicated upon what we think and how we feel. Therefore, the way to change that is to change your thoughts. You're changing your thoughts, therefore you change the emotional reaction to what your information you're taking in, and ultimately your behavior will be changed. And therefore the outward manifestation that you experience in reality will be changed for the better. And police and military don't understand this at all. None of them. Zero. Blanket statement, folks. Blanket statement. Get over that, New Agers. Then no one can make a blanket statement that's true. There are blanket statements that are true all the time, everywhere. And there are blanket statements that aren't true. Blanket statement that happens to be true is that no police officer ultimately understands the law of manifestation or the law of attraction, the true one. You know, they can claim that they understand the bunk New Age one all they want. That's not how it works. They don't understand what's really generating our experience here on Earth. None of them. Zero. If they did, they would never step into that role or position. Upon coming to a deep understanding of it, and understanding means this is what I'm going to use to drive my action. That's what I mean, capital U understanding. Intellectually happening to, be aware that this is how it's working is different than standing under something, that you are subservient to that natural law. You are bowing to a law that the universe has put into effect and recognizing that I cannot continue to act like this if I want the manifested result to be better. So then I don't continue to act like that. I change my behavior, so I'm generating a different outward manifestation. And therefore you are truly standing under that law. That's what understanding, capital U understanding means. I'm not talking about intellectual grasping. That's not what I mean. That's different from true understanding of a dynamic that is inherent to the universe, inherent to creation. So zero police have ever understood the law of attraction, the true law of attraction and manifestation, until they've ceased being police. Zero soldiers have ever understood this law of manifestation until they have ceased being soldiers. You cannot continue to do that action and truly understand what you're bringing forward into manifestation. It's an impossibility. Those two things are irreconcilable. And as a result, in that level of ignorance, they are all acting as the battery for the matrix of enslavement. All of them. Not some, not the majority, not the, quote, bad apples that people talk about all the time in their mind-washed, their brainwashed, mind-controlled state, that it's just a few bad people in these institutions. Wrong. It's all of them in their ignorance of how the laws of nature work. 100%. No matter what time in history, no matter what culture, no matter what place on this planet, 100% of police and soldiers and other people involved in government institutions do not understand how the true laws of attraction and manifestation work in reality. Zero.